You know, I seriously weighed how to do this video, and it took me a long time to figure out what to do. In fact, I had gotten most of my organic video series put together long after I even came up with this video. And the debate I had with this video is simple, is that how do I talk to you about functional groups? I could stand up in front of a board and say, these are the functional groups, and say, this is the name of this one, this is the name of this one, this is the name of this one. And honestly, I think it would be a 10-minute boring video, and I think it would be a boring video for two reasons. One, that would just be boring to listen to me rattle off a bunch of facts in a video. The second is that just go to Wikipedia. I mean, we're being honest with ourselves. We're in the information age. You can look up the names of functional groups. So I don't want to talk to you in this video about what the functional groups are, because go look up a table of it. I have 2 editions now of the Carry Organic textbook. It has a nice lead-in about what they are and what the list of them are. You need to memorize them. So why memorize them? Well, here's the big thing, and this is the shift. This is starting to show you the shift towards the organic mindset. Functional groups are an incredibly powerful way of looking at an organic group. Functional groups give us a lot of information. First of all, they give us a great idea about the geometry around that particular functional group. When we look at something like a ketone, so a ketone has the form C, sorry, pen died, double bound to O, with R groups hanging off of it. When we say we have a ketone, we automatically know the oxygen is 120 degrees relative to the R groups. And so we know the geometry there. We also know the carbon is trigonoplanar and it's sp2 hybridized. It gives us a lot of information about geometry because that's what we expect a ketone to do. The second is that a functional group will tell us a lot about the intermolecular forces. In the case of ketones, they interact by dipole-dipole interactions. Alkane groups, methyl, methylene, methine, these are all going to interact by dipole-dipole interactions because, well, not dipole-dipole, they're going to interact by dispersion forces because the CH bond is effectively a nonpolar bond. If we look at something like an alcohol or a carboxylic acid, these interact by hydrogen bonding. We know this because they contain an OH group with a labile hydrogen. So, next piece of information, how do they interact? Tells us about their polarity because we know the intermolecular forces. Tells us about their reactivity. Ketones do addition reactions. H2 can be added across the bond. They're susceptible to nucleophilic attack. Alcohols are susceptible to substitution, elimination reactions. Alkanes, methyl, methylene, methine are bricks. The best you can hope to do is react them with a radical and hope the radical doesn't attack anything else in the reactor. It tells us about the reactivity. So why memorize the functional groups? That if you know the functional groups, you know those 3 properties of that particular part of the organic compound. Now, typically when we teach organic chemistry, that's what we do is we start working our way through the functional groups and their different properties. Now, the reality is it is one big picture. And it would be impossible to teach organic chemistry in such a way that we taught all the functional groups at once. I know some instructors try it. I think they fail miserably, my personal opinion. But we go through and we teach you the functional groups as a big picture, and we ask you to memorize them because we want you to know what we're talking about when we mention it. But basically, memorize the functional group. What's associated with it? What does it look like? And then as you progress through organic chemistry, we'll talk about the different reactions because that's the bigger chunk to fill in with functional groups is what types of reactions do they undergo? What are they susceptible to in terms of reagents? So no, I'm not going to give you a video where we write up all the functional groups on the board and I say, this is what this is, this is what this is. You have Wikipedia for that. Go do that. Memorize the functional groups because they are important towards the reactivity, they tell you about the polarity, and they tell you a lot about the bond angles and the hybridizations and all those little pieces of information that become relevant when we start talking about how to do reactions with organic compounds.